Topping today's news, founding father Alpheus Roker lying in state at the House of Assembly today. The Davis administration looking to challenge the status quo. The opposition continues to hit out at the budget communication, and a bus stop at today's office of the Prime Minister's press briefing. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. The late Alpheus Roker lying in state today in the foyer of the House of Assembly, with current and former government officials paying their respects. Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt, pictured here, was among the distinguished members of society that signed the Book of Condolences and paid last respects to the family of the late founding father, who was also a signatory to the Bahamas Constitution, former cabinet minister and parliamentarian. During this period of mourning, the national flag is being flown at half-mast until sunset on Friday. Also paying their respects to Mr. Roker and his family was former Prime Minister Perry Christie, who reflected on the life of Mr. Roker, describing the Bahamian icon as a hard-working, strong-minded individual.
He again became a pivotal player in the House of Assembly, representing North Andros. He became a major player in the cabinet of Sir Lyndon Pinley in different portfolios, one of which I inherited in 1977 when I became the Minister of Health and National Insurance. Roker preceded me as the Minister of Health and Housing, and so therefore I went into that ministry that he preceded me on, and I had a great understanding of how uncompromising and fixed in his beliefs that he was.
Alpheus Roker was a political figure and a social activist, passionate about immigration, freedom, and people of color. Leader of the opposition, Michael Pintard, speaks about his commitment and dedication towards the Bahamas and its people.
Alpheus Roker is really a Bahamian icon and national hero. He was somebody who obviously was committed to his political organization, but he was far more committed to the Bahamian community. And he was prepared, which is often rare in Bahamian politics, to critique both the Free National Movement and the Progressive Liberal Party when he felt as if we were not living up to the ideals of the country. And that made him a hero to many of us who were young activists, because we were of the view that no one organization held the only plan for the country, that in different ways Bahamians from all sides contribute to developing this country. And he was an example of that kind of person.
Mr. Roker's funeral is scheduled for Friday at 11 a.m. at Christ Church Cathedral. A funeral procession will take place from the House of Assembly to the church. Once the church service has been completed, the march will lead from the church to the Western Cemetery on Nassau Street for the final salute and sunset ceremony. According to Prime Minister Philip Davis, although the economy has been making strides in the right direction, not enough Bahamians are feeling the economic recovery following the COVID-19 pandemic and Hurricane Dorian. And for this reason, he says, recovery alone has never been a good enough goal for his administration, but instead just a stepping stone. With that said, Prime Minister Davis said it is now time to change the status quo and begin to do things differently.
It's time for our country to take big steps forward in solving the challenges that have held us back for too long. You've heard us say it before. We didn't come here to defend the status quo. We came here to change it, because changing the status quo is the best way to change lives. Changing the status quo means challenging the systems, practices, and powers that be if they aren't serving the people well, and innovating and building something better.
Continuing, Prime Minister Davis says his administration is already challenging the status quo, beginning with Bahamas Power and Light and other areas of government.
We're also challenging the status quo in healthcare, building not just one new hospital, but two, one in New Providence and one in Grand Bahama. even as we are renovating clinics and procuring ambulance for our family islands and making long overdue investment in mental health care. We are challenging the status quo in Grand Bahama, where the Port Authority has been earning private profits at the public's expense while failing to live up to their responsibility to develop Freeport. It's time, long past time, for change in Grand Bahama. The people of Grand Bahama deserve a credible partner with a vision for progress and shared prosperity. We are challenging the Nassau-centric status quo by recognizing that the people and potential of the family islands have long been overlooked and underestimated. That's why solar energy, new investments, and infrastructure improvements are in motion across our archipelago.
The fight against crime and gangs, labor relations, food security, the current court system, work permits, unregulated communities, and payment of taxes by the wealthy, among other things, are some of those areas the government has already begun to challenge the status quo. Leader of the opposition, Michael Pintard, is continuing his critique of Prime Minister Philip Davis's budget communication on Wednesday, this time chastising the government for topics he says they did not address in the budget. With the murder count now standing at 51, Mr. Pintard says the government has taken no transformative action to make a difference in the rise in violent crimes and gun violence.
Just recently, one of our dailies reported that murders are up by 13%. And so the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security can talk about all the additional vehicles that they have bought and the additional recruiting that they have done, and particularly seeking to identify supporters of their organization to do so. But nevertheless, homicides, violent crimes, particularly against children and women, continue to increase. And so the government has to do more than optics, and their optics is, again, introducing amendments to legislation that, again, tinkers around the edge. It does not, in any substantial way, move us along, as was their attempt at the Bail Act.
Mr. Pintard is demanding the government present a new, original, and comprehensive plan to address crime in the country.
This government, you would recall, had a cut and paste plan that they had downloaded from the internet, and they put it in a glossy booklet. They presented it, but the serious crimes in the country continue to escalate. So it's what, and they have said just results. Well, for all that they have done, the results remain sadly the same. We continue to lose our children in homes, on our streets, and there's carnage in our schools.
Mr. Pintard says the government has not yet made the effort to lead the country in the fight against crime. The opposition leader said despite recent legislation and investments in policing, Bahamians cannot feel what the government is doing. And finally, in this segment today, at the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing, intended to take a deeper look into the budget communication delivered by Prime Minister Philip Davis on Wednesday. However, things got off to a rocky start when a member of the media, with the very first question, accused Financial Secretary Simon Wilson of being a liar in relation to comments that he made about JDL Cargo Management Company and their new arrangements at Lynden Pinley International Airport the last time that he appeared at the Office of the Prime Minister's briefing. Well, Mr. Wilson said he was surprised by the allegations and was visibly disturbed. He responded strongly to that Mail reporter.
If you have any questions about any specific aspect of the budget, I'm here to answer them.
Yes, sorry. The last time you were here, you lied to us when we asked you about JDL in particular. You lied to the media about JDL.
I lied?
Yeah, you lied to the media.
How do I?
You told,
that's a very
media.
That's a strong word.
Yeah, but you told the media that JDL was only building out a building in the air freight terminal. 2 days after that, JDL sent out a memo saying that they were actually asking couriers to actually sign up for business licenses in addition to charging them fees for importing goods into the country.
I'm taken aback, but let's start by the first thing. You called me a liar. All right, that's the first thing. So we started the press conference by you calling me a liar.
You did. You lied.
No. You called me a liar. You smiled. You called me a liar.
Because you lied.
No, you called me a liar. I am this close. See, let me say this, It's one thing to criticize the government for policies. It's one thing. But when you come and you use your perch in the media to make scandalous, unfounded allegations and think that you can get away with it, it don't go that way, my friend. Now, we have a history, We have a history. I fired you. For lying. A well-documented history. And you come here and call me a liar. You come here and call me a liar. No, we should end this. We should end this because you come here and you call me a liar.
At the end of the press briefing, Senator Michael Halkitis, Minister of Economic Affairs, had this to say about the incident.
That were expressed, and we had a little unfortunate situation here that seems to stem from some personal beef. Very, very unfortunate when we have our public servants come up here. And I can say for the financial secretary, working with him over many years, never had any reason to question his integrity. And then let me just leave it like that. All right?
Acting Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Keishla Adley, also spoke to the incident and reminded reporters of the reason for the press briefings and the accompanying guidelines.
Well, let me just address what was a very unfortunate episode which unfolded just a few minutes ago. This press briefing is intended to give members of the press an opportunity to speak with newsmakers from the government. I've been a reporter for most of my professional life. The role of a reporter is, of course, to ask questions, to be objective, that is to get both sides of the story. You are entitled to your opinion, as anyone is, but this podium is and should be one of mutual respect, and I think it has been since this medium was put in place. You do have an opportunity to ask your questions, to voice your opinions, but when we get to the point where personal attacks are being launched, that crosses the line. I condemn in the strongest terms what happened here this morning. The intent was for the financial secretary to speak about or flesh out some of the issues discussed in the budget communication issued yesterday. And I condemn in the strongest terms any attack. Now, as I said, nothing like that has happened here before. And I don't foresee that it will happen again.
Senator Halkitis and Ms. Adley both encourages members of the press and the general public to watch the budget debates next week for more details on the government's plans to challenge the status quo. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.